No, Matt, if you love George Soros, you love George Soros.
I definitely don't.
Every morning at 8:45 Eastern, Option Omega's got your back. Troy's dreaming big like LeBron. Matt's backtesting like a daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Oh, Matt, you're supposed to have some control here, Matt.
I have no control. This is not. Listen, I'm the side man. I'm the opening act. I'm not the main. I'm not the main. The main.
Try the
performer.
energy of that. That was this. I mean, it was just like. Is this part of a bet, or is this just you just felt like doing that?
Sometimes, listen, is it Shania Twain? The short skirts. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I feel like sometimes you feel like a woman, you know? So listen, we were having
that was too much.
This is a fun Thursday. Matt was just telling me, what were you saying about how much you love Soros?
Look at Matt. Matt's like, I don't need this today. I don't
What
know.
What was weird was the fact, like, some of the analogies I just wasn't getting, like George Soros is the Reggie Miller of the financial world.
Well, oh, he crossed it. He's off again.
All right, Matt, you can come back. Sorry.
Come back, yeah.
He's definitely the house.
I never left. I never left.
Yeah. Well, we were talking before the show about how George Soros, growing up in the South, he is next to Hitler, second in line for the devil. That was growing up. But then as you get into the financial world, you start realizing, he was actually a really good investor, which doesn't change.
There's two arcs, right?
Yeah.
There's the who was he in the finance world, then there's the Baba Yaga arc, where you just described him as Baba Yaga of the South, like, eat your grits for breakfast or George Soros will come and get you. Say your prayers before bed or George Soros will come and get you.
That's exactly right.
That's heard all across Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Now,
So
we have it seems like a lot of these guys have somebody who taught them, like Warren Buffett. Who's Warren Buffett's guy that taught him the ropes of the investing game? Some legendary guy, forget who he is. But I wonder if Soros, did he learn from anybody, like maybe a Tibetan monk or something taught him in a cave or something?
My understanding is that he sacrificed a billy goat,
and
someone taught him the skills and the arts, or something taught him the skills.
In the remote farm with the billy goats, they said, George, I show you something. I show you this chart.
That's right. So anyway, listen, hope you guys are having a great Thursday. We had a little spiciness in the market yesterday.
A little bit. Gotta move.
Yeah.
How did you guys finish up yesterday?
It seemed like nothing was. Other than I had a few just small calls that I had an order in to sell out of. I had a few calls in VIX, that triggered when I think VIX was up 2 points or something, but that came, you know, then VIX came down pretty quick. I'll be honest with you. I'm you know, when I first heard that, I was scrambling a little bit just because I thought that would be significant. And I know it's, you know, with the way things go now, you know, it was very marketable, right? Hey, sometime today we may, you know, we may fire this guy. I mean, they didn't say sometime today, but, you know, 99% of the time it's like buy the news, buy the rumor, sell the news. But it's just like, to me, that would be bad, right? If to me, you know, you get rid of, I don't know a lot about the banking, the intricacies, but he seems, at least he's a stable guy for the most part, right? You may not, and to just fire him, I don't know, that wouldn't be real good. And then you read yesterday, he's not going to fire him, and then you read, Matt or Troy, have you kept up? Can he legally fire him?
Not keeping up. I mean, people would say I'm foolish for not keeping up, but not.
You're smart.
Up.
That's better.
It's the same. It's just persuasion, negotiation in public.
Yeah. Period. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm watching his Delta exit,
I never thought in a million years I would root for the Federal Reserve. I'm that guy as a Ron Paul person. But man, it's fun. I have lots of thoughts about interest rates. It's funny to me how everyone's default is like, well, yeah, of course interest rates should be lower. No, that's a really bad idea. And I strongly disagree that interest rates should be lower.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's an interesting book called Fed Up that I read a couple years ago by somebody who worked at the Fed. And I was really ignorant on the scope of the Fed and what they do. And you know, there's tens of thousands of people just coming up with this stuff. And like, once you kind of dig into that, and then you see like the 2%, like what's the math and the reasoning behind it having a persistent 2% inflation target? Like, what is that? And then just understanding kind of the one big eye opener for me in reading that book was how the Fed is like marketed as this non-political entity. And that is very not true. It's actually extremely political. And the perspectives all come from like there's not as much diversity of opinion as one might think for being such a large entity. So anyway, pretty interesting book, Fed Up. I'm going to look up the lady who wrote it is named Danielle Booth. So no connection, just an interesting read on the Fed. Fed Up.
She's not family members of someone who tried to assassinate a president.
Not that I know of. I don't think she's connected to JW Booth at all. And we haven't asked her to be on the show, but she'd be a fascinating guest.
Yes, she would.
Well, listen, I will say this real quick. This is a chance just to segue into testing. But who out of all investors you've ever heard of would you like to have on the show? If you could have one, Taleb. Okay.
I mean, got to.
That's Matt's Taleb.
See, I'm thinking more personalities. I like the crazy personality.
You want Jim Cramer?
Well, no, he's annoying to me. I don't know. You know who I'd like to have on? The Who's big that? Short guy.
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah.
The guy who.
Well, there's a couple. There's Michael Burry, if that's who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either him or, something like that. I mean, those guys. Not only did they take a big shot, right, but they went against the flow. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And they're
still going. I mean, Burry he's still running. The movie kind of makes it seem like he ended his career, but he's still going. And then several of the guys that work with Michael from The Office's hedge fund, they have a hedge fund now. You know, they're public. They're on CNBC. They're still going. So these guys, some of them are still around.
How about the guy who runs not that he's an interesting character. The guy who's owner of the Mets,
Stevie Cohen.
Stevie Cohen, isn't he? He was, and there's always like doubts how he's a big hedge fund guy, but how did he do it? Did he do it legal? Did he cross the line a little bit, or did he inside information? Didn't he? Or
no idea, idea.
But I mean, when you're talking about interesting guy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You throw in the Mets, you throw in he's a hedge fund guy.
Yeah, owns 97% of the Mets. He's worth $20 billion. He would come on the show, I'm sure.
Yeah, he would come on the show in a heartbeat.
Let's talk about the AA pipeline you got coming up.
Well, let's not even get started. Let's not even get started of all the people that I've had to tell no who are emailing me constantly.
You tell them, Troy.
Who say, Trump's like, please let me explain myself. And I'm like,
right.
No, sir. No, Mr. President.
No.
AOC wants to come on. I'm like, no chance. So Jordan Belfort would be amazing. I actually think I'm going to go very conservative. I think Stanley Druckenmiller. I don't think we could, with a good conscience, do Soros. I think there'd be too much drama. But I think Druckenmiller would be amazing. Druckenmiller is an amazing name, and my whole goal for that whole show would just to be say Mr. Druckenmiller for a long time,
over and over and over again.
Yeah. That now listen,
entertaining.
Roderick, Jim Carson, in my mind, is in the realm, so stay tuned for that. But Mr. Dan knows Mr. Sosnoff. Sosnoff is also doing a morning show right now, so that's a little tough, but I think we could definitely do that. Dan, you've talked to Tom a lot through the years.
Sosnoff, I mean, two of the more interesting characters in the options business, and I know both well. I mean, good guys, Tom Sosnoff and John Najarian, who I worked with. But those are, I'll tell you, fun guys, characters, and they were both very good traders Tom spent his career more in the OEX before SPX. That was where a lot of the veterans, that was the precursor to SPX, OEX in the pits. And Tom was, again, he was still kind of that eclectic, that personality, and with Scott Sheridan, who was cohort in crime, where they would hang out. But these are all guys that they hung out in the OEX pit for 8 hours a day. And, and then they'd go on trips together. They'd do everything it was a good bunch of guys. And John Najarian, on the other end was, you think about it, on the same trading floor, probably didn't know each other that well, right? But John was more into, because he had DP, market maker, designated primary market maker in a lot of the stocks. We had a lot of the tech stocks, Sun Microsystem back then, Micron, traded an unbelievable amount of options back in the day. I don't know what it trades today, but both of those guys are just, what gets me, what impresses me about them now, these are guys, late 60s, when you say late 60s, the energy and enthusiasm, those two have probably done more in the options industry than anybody in terms of getting people excited about options. I mean, obviously Tom has, I think, brought a lot of people in the options industry. Sure. And John was like a one-man marketing team for the CBOE. CBOE would send him out. I mean, he was trading all day, and then they'd send him out, go here, go there, do a seminar in California, because John is just kind of a bigger than life personality. Tom wears the beanie. John's got beanies too. And, they're character, and they're funny guys. I mean,
the Najarian brothers have a commercial right now on Bloomberg radio.
Oh,
I think it's Bloomberg where they'll say, we taught options for 20 years on national TV, which I think they're just not allowed to say CNBC on Bloomberg or something.
Right, probably.
So they say national TV. But then they have a play on words that they'll use about 85 times in a 30-second advertisement, where they'll say, learning options is no longer an option.
Oh yeah, they're good with the catchphrases. They're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Learn it. If you don't know about options, that's not an option.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah, it was fun. I'll tell you real quick with them was I think at one time we had 12 guys with Division I or pro experience working, and that added to, and I say that not the football, but they were character. I mean, just because they hire a lot of their friends, like Chris Haynes, who worked with us, who was Joe Montana's #1 receiver at Notre Dame, and then he played pro. Mark Dusbacher he played for the Vikings. Pete played for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There were other guys, but it's just they were. And then the minute they would come in, John would be like, he was like a ringleader. It's like, hey, we're getting in a flag football league. Guys are like, come on, my knees are destroyed. I've had 6 surgeries. My fingers are almost falling off. And so he would lead the charge, with the baseball, with the basketball, with all that stuff. So, I mean, it was fun. It was like you were like in a Boy Scout troop or something.
Oh yeah.
Working with people say, was it fun working with John for a lot of, I said, it was fantastic. I mean, he was just an easy guy, but it was very entertaining. Didn't take things too serious, but he was, I think one thing they both have in common, they can go after risk a little bit.
Yeah.
They were contrarian. I mean, there'd be times we'd be in the IBM pit. John and I would trade in the IBM pit together, and it would go up, and he'd have that look, like, I don't think it's going to hold here. And he'd get like short deltas. I mean, a ton. I just never had that in me. I was more risk averse to,
Sure.
I'm not swinging the deltas. And he's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like
Live a little. Yeah.
And I think Sosnoff is very contrarian in nature. Most of those guys are very contrarian. Whereas I think in the retail, I think if you combine contrarian with the charts and stuff, it's a little more sanity, wouldn't you say? Because I think there's good tools, people use like trade market profile and all this different. I mean, I think those are helpful things that can give you some information,
Yeah. I mean, the key is you want to be contrarian, but you want to have some data behind it. You don't want to just be like,
right. Well, that's that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, it's a full circle, this conversation. That's the whole deal with The Big Short, is you had this disparate group of people that were looking at different parts, I would say different parts of the same picture, and saying, hey, this data doesn't line up. Very simple thesis. This data does not line up with how the system is pricing it. And the related securities. And they just believed in that. And eventually it took them longer than they thought, but they were proven right. And I mean, the idea behind the data driving the thesis, it's just, if it were easy, everybody would do it, but a lot of people don't even take data into their thesis. They just have a thesis,
Well, speaking of contrarian,
hit it.
We're going to do the exact opposite today on our test.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite. I'm going to be contrary to the contrary. I'm going to be contrary to our contrary talk. And we're going to ride the trend. Shout out Stephen V. Today's and tomorrow's tests. Stephen V just is like home run derby.
Stephen V's been on a roll.
His last name, V for victory.
Home run derby.
Victory.
Just easy pitches. I throw him a little pitch. He goes, see ya. So shout out Stephen V. Here we go.
Okay.
We said earlier this week, we were looking at this put spread, an SPX. Stephen V got it to a 3 MAR. Now, he didn't get it to 300 trades, ... yet. But stay tuned for tomorrow's show.
Okay.
So what are we looking at here, Dan? Can you read the chart here and see what we got?
Yeah, like at the money, like, is it 10 or 15 wide put credit spread?
More or less, yeah. 25
0 days
% out of the money.
Yeah, so it's more. It's not a probability trade like a 10 delta. So you're probably selling a 40 or 50 delta, but it's probably the spread you want to do when you're trend following, right? You want to get because you get more credit, you have a better risk reward versus if you're doing more like the Tammy and some of the other folk, if I'm correct on this, doing maybe a 10 delta, that's a great idea, but for a different purpose, right? It's not as much trend following as saying, hey, I don't think it's going outside these parameters.
Right. That's exactly right.
That's a different purpose. But for here, yeah, you want, when you're going direction like this, you want a good risk reward. And I think he's got some very good, didn't I see a couple days ago when I seen it, didn't you have parameters of like the SMA or some of those?
Yeah, he took them all off. I mean, this is the interesting.
So it works even better. So he took off all the trend following stuff, and it works better with the without the trend following stuff.
This is the most pure trend thing I've ever seen in my life, where it's basically, when the market at 215 is up 1/3% or up 0.3%, sell a more or less at the money put spread that's probably 10 to 15 points wide, realistically. And then just go away and mow your grass, read to your kids, try to get them down at 3 or 4 in the afternoon so you can have an evening with the wife. Do whatever you need to do.
So as long as we're up 0.3% for the day at 215?
Yeah. Matt, that's right? I'm reading that right.
Is that the right way?
Matt's muted, but he's cussing because he's so excited.
I'm not cussing. I'm playing with it right now. And I got it to 306 trades. But the MAR fell to 2.7. I'm trying to figure out.
You want the yoga pants too, Matt?
I got a couple ideas. I got a couple ideas, but I love the simplicity.
Throw some ideas out there.
To get more trades, one idea is to look at more entry times. So instead of taking a tranched approach, I was just floating the entry time to give it a bigger window, which worked. And but it dropped the win rate a couple points and dropped the MAR a couple points, and dropped the capture rate 10%. So despite having more trades that are positive, so overall more trades, still positive expectancy. So those are still decent trades, but not as good as this. So it's I love the simplicity of it. So,
well, and the other thing real quick, you think two things, 2022 to 25 is an uptrend, right? Overall, it's an up market, except, most of the time, right? You had a period in 2022 that wasn't, but you're basically drawing a line in the sand and saying, I'm only going to do this on up days, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do, which we've had a lot of them, and late in the day, right? So it's not like we've already, we're up 50 and now at the end of the day, we're only up 10. He's saying at 250, pretty late in the day. Well, it's 1:15 Central, right? 2:15 Eastern.
That's right. Yeah.
But you're still saying you're putting pressure on it by saying it's got to be up 0.3%, which would be about 30 points, right? 30, 40 points up. And then we're coming in. So I think that is trend following, right? He doesn't have the SMAs, but so this is better than the SMA stuff, right?
Well,
or did he change the time?
It's just different. I mean, it's like Troy said, it's a pure trend follow. So
pure
markets up, JSP.
We're in. 74% win percent.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that? That's exactly where I was going, Dan. So you win 3 out of 4 times.
Yeah.
Over the last 250 trades. And the losers can be a full loser, but they don't always have to be. So if you look at that trade for June 24th, it would have gone in the money, but not as much as your credit. So it still was okay, and there are times when you're going to lose a full width. Let's see, the last time, May 23rd, and then May 22nd, again, it was only 10 wide that day, but you lost a full width. So, but your credit is enough to where it's not insane. And then again, you have these days like Tuesday, April 29th, where it's a winner, but you eke it out. The most common scenario, though, just looking through this, is you sell a credit and it expires worthless. It's
You know what's crazy as you look at this, Matt, Dan? Here's what's super interesting about the market. This is why the market's so addictive. It's like, again, this is no artificial sweetener. This is no high fructose corn syrup. This is Mexican Coke, soon to be American Coke. Thank you, President Trump. That's honestly one of the biggest things I can't believe we're not talking about.
I can't believe we're not talking about it either.
That's as someone who grew up understanding that high fructose corn syrup was going to kill you.
Yeah.
Coke saying, yeah, we'll put sugar back in. Huge move for America. Hey, all you skinny Europeans who have always looked at us and been like, you fat slobs.
Yeah.
It's not our fault. And you'll see soon enough.
So they're getting rid of the play is getting rid of the high fructose corn syrup that's in American Coke, classic Coke, not Diet Coke, the drink of kings. Yeah. Classic Coke, and replacing that with cane sugar. Which there's a lot of discussion around this, right? Like these artificial things, like, yes, sugar. I mean, it's documented what sugar does to your blood sugar and etc. But there's this idea that real sugar is satiating, so maybe you don't drink as much. And that's kind of the European argument, right? Like, we don't put the fake stuff in the food that's bad for you. We put the real stuff that's bad for you, but we just don't eat as much because you don't need to.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of protesting in the South over the Coke. Do you, Troy? I mean,
no.
Is it like this where you guys are, where I'm hard pivoting this discussion from Coke to Diet Coke, but have you guys gotten into this whole McDonald's Diet Coke mix? That McDonald's has different mixes for Diet Coke in different
100%.
Reasons.
100%.
I will say this: there are regions where the Coke is better, where it's got more of a bite, and then there's regions where it's worse, where it's more like Pepsi, where it's just kind of tame and like, why am I drinking this instead of water?
Well, I started this, and it's my fault because I said that a while ago. But let me finish this real quick.
Finish it.
The Waffle House has the best Cokes. For those who never been to Waffle House,
Diet Coke too, would you say? Coke family?
I think so. If you like waffles, fist fighting, and meth, I've got a place for you. Wow. It's called the Waffle House. You can stay up all night, whether you just got off work, whether you're tweaking, whatever you're doing. There's a place for you. But here's the thing about Waffle House.
I've heard that.
They don't pre-mix the drink.
Oh.
So when you see, if someone proves me wrong on this, I'm going to be so sad. I'm speaking historically. I don't know what they do right now.
Yeah.
But I'm saying historically, they were known for having really good soda pop because, you go to Chick-fil-A, you go to any Diet Coke or any fast food place, they stick the thing under the thing and it all comes out at the same time, right? For a superior soda pop, you want to put the syrup in first and then add the carbonation.
Okay. Instead of now most places it's mixed at point of suspension.
And
we're going to have to dig into this and devote
we'll do some research.
Time.
And Troy, can I say one more thing? I don't mean to go on the Stephen V trend following.
Well, if you want to get back to the test, we can. I understand.
No. Yeah. We don't even. I enjoy this. I've enjoyed going like in Coke. I enjoy going.
Oh, don't start with Pepsi. Don't even start with that.
Atlanta. I had a lot of fun going to the Coke place in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Where you can try Cokes from around the world. Yes. That was fun. I mean, you had all the different tastes. But one quick thing on this credit spread. Again, one of the things I like about it, you also have some built-in risk management. You're doing a 15 wide spread. At times you could bring in close to $5. So if the world ends on you, right, you're giving up a couple trades. You're not getting destroyed like you would on a 10 delta if you didn't have rails, right? This is more for someone that, again, you're bringing in a credit. Now, July 2nd and June 26th, you're bringing in smaller credits because the VIX has been coming down, right?
Yeah, $2.60
But if you scroll down a little bit, you're getting some 4s, 5s, and 6s, right? And so at least you can get a reasonable risk reward. So it's not going to take you a month to get it back, right?
That's right. You're winning 74. And what I was going to say before I interrupted ourselves, the thing I was going to talk about was what's interesting to me about this in general is, again, this is a no high fructose corn syrup trade. It's the purest way possible. Yeah. This is why the market's so addicting, is you look at this and you can clearly see through time that a lot of losers, you'll notice, are bunched together. But that theoretically should not happen from a pure statistic standpoint, because any day is a 50-50 chance, right?
A random walk.
It's a random walk.
A random walk.
But what you'll notice is a lot of times there is a systematic kind of down move happening, even intraday, back to back to back.
That's right.
And you can see this, but this is why it's so tricky and it's hard to act on that. Like this week, I've seen, how many times have we opened down and just kind of went to zero in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And we just sat there at open.
We're hanging around this. How many times have we closed between 60 and 70?
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's why I don't know. That's why I had pizza last night.
And so
if we close around 65, I'm getting pizza.
I love
the pizza. 63.7.
You do have these days, these trends that are just kind of constantly happening. There are people who are really, really good at finding those micro trends and acting on them. But the nice thing about backtesting is you don't have to.
Yeah. Shout out, this point you're making right now is exactly what the chat is talking about and what I'm backtesting right now. Let me just respond to a comment about the micro trends, because Joseph in the chat had a super interesting comment about the idea of this working longer term, and super interesting comment. And it goes to the whole idea of when does a market change? When is a trend a trend? When is a trend not a trend? And how much data do people want before they'll act on something? And here's the reality. All those questions are, you could write a book on any of them. And the answer is going to be, it depends. And it depends on the person for all of them. To your point, Joseph, I was just messing around and I'd been playing around with floating the entry on this, and I floated the entry, and then I just put a min VIX and a max VIX and ran it back to 2020. And yeah, you're right. It's not as good, but it was green every year. And then in 2022, it's just done great. And in 2025, it's actually done really well.
Well,
this
and I think
year comparatively as well. Again, capping it at this is still more of the one that I have only is 1% of the portfolio. So this is still more of a small account challenge type of thing.
But you just said the interesting thing. You said in 2022, which was mostly a down year, it did
crushed it.
See, that's
you were getting so much reward for your risk.
Yeah. Can we bring in real quick? We have to bring in my friend. Did we said it? It's Jack Nicholson who made "Can You Handle the Truth?"
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So if you look at Troy,
you want me on that wall.
Bring up May 8th, 5th, and 2nd. There.
Now, real quick, this is a 5% portfolio, so I upped it just to see.
Okay.
But let's go back real quick to.
I got you.
Let's just run, because I know what you're gonna do here, Dan. While I'm doing this real quick, when you were in the pits, were you?
Tom here? Is Tom here? When you were
would you guys day drink? I'm just kidding. I know you didn't day drink.
Well,
were there
at
people
the time, I'll be at the time there was some, but that was a huge thing. I'll just tell you real quick.
Yeah.
Or maybe we should do this real quick and then go to the story.
Sure.
Because the stories are good. May 8th, 5th, and 2nd. If you show that.
Yeah, there's May 8th.
So those were three,
Fifth
you know,
and yeah,
here's the
three
thing.
losers in a row.
Again, this is where it comes down to, as Matt always says, trust the test. And especially in the game of like a put credit spread, May 8th, 5th, and 2nd, you lost 1,000, 1,000, and 400. So you're
and again
down,
on the 13th.
Yeah, right. And you're down. So that, and you can't see like Niagara Falls. You can't see April 30 on that you're going to get it all back. And that's can you handle the truth? Can you continue on after 3 days? Because that's part of the journey. If you know, it's one thing to say, I'll do this at 74%. It's another thing to actually look at this and say, I'm going to have a couple of these 3 in a row. Am I going to hang in there or am I going to abandon ship? And you almost have to make that decision ahead of time, right? It's like, what are you going to do in a 26-mile race when you're tired after 14? You know, somehow I'll walk. Somehow I'll get there. And I think this is really, that's why I think especially small accounts, build the calluses on your hands by doing it small that you can, you know, where the numbers are smaller, right? These numbers may be too big for a beginner trader, right? To blow 1,000, 1,500 in 3 days, you know, they're a little staggered.
Yeah, this is not a small account challenge.
No,
not
this
real.
is not. Yeah,
realistically, it could. I mean,
it could be an XSP.
Contextually, it could be.
Yeah.
If you have a small account of like 30,000.
Yeah. Can I just PSA real quick on this?
Yes.
Small account, like if you are small accounting this or something like this, and you choose to do it in an assignable security like SPY, QQQ, please understand how your broker views that, because spend a lot of time trying to explain that to people who don't understand. And securities that are assignable, your broker has their own risk rules on that. Their own, and the brokers function differently. And so what is one options contract on SPY? How much assignability is that? Well, if we're at 6,200, or in the SPY, we'd be at 620. So take that number times 100. So if you're trading SPY at the end of the day, a single share of SPY that you're potentially long on or short on, and you don't have $60,000+ in your account, you want to understand how the broker's going to view that. So just a PSA.
And here,
that's an public service announcement.
Let me just save you time. Don't do this. I'm serious. There's not.
People are doing this without understanding.
This is not a small. I guess, yeah. This is not a small account challenge trade. Like,
yeah.
This isn't even a good This is not a good strategy for Qs or SPY or anything. Look at what you're doing. You're selling an at the money put spread. That is only good, in my opinion, if you're doing European expirations.
Right. Period.
That's the only reason you'd ever do that is because you don't care if it expires in the money or not.
And if you don't know what European style expirations is, you need to learn that. And we can talk about it not today because we have 1 minute left on the show. Yeah. But that's really important to understand, Troy. You're dead on.
So real quick, I'll just give you, not because we only have a minute, and maybe we can make this a 2-parter, but if you write this down, there's a restaurant in the next time you're on a field trip to Chicago, anybody, go in the Chicago Board of Trade building. They call it Historic Chicago Board of Trade. And there's a restaurant in the Chicago Board of Trade, right as you walk in. It's called the Ceres Cafe.
Okay.
CERES Cafe. And this one sentence, so their advertisement on their front page I just went into the web here. This is by Barstool Sports. I take great comfort knowing Ceres Cafe is still serving Chicago's stiffest drinks. And I think that epitomizes it's open Monday to Friday. You don't need weekends because they're not there. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And I remember in the heyday, it'd be there 8:30 in the morning. You could not forget 8:30, 7:30 in the morning. You could not get a seat at the bar if you wanted to. So there was standing room at the bar. The breakfast was all filled. And you say, who is doing most of this drinking? Coming from Irish heritage, I'd like to say many of our compadres.
My people.
Well, my people were fulfilling their responsibility, and the thing is, they weren't even in the 8:30. You know, the stock market opened at 8:30 in the morning. All right, so they're at 7:30. They weren't trading that. A lot of the Irish were trading wheat and corn futures at the Board of Trade, so they'd have to walk. You know, just they're right there. So that gave them 2 hours to drink because they didn't have to be in the pit till 9:30. And the Irish were smart. They did the soybeans and all the stuff at Board of Trade because your working hours were 9:30 to 1:30.
Perfect.
Is that beautiful?
Oh my gosh.
But that was what went on. That was just like you felt like you were on a different planet, right? To walk in, I remember bringing guests at times and they're like, what's going on over there? It's 7:30 in the morning. Are those people drinking? I said, they're drinking heavily. And then they'd go trade, right? Then they'd go trade for 4 hours. So anyways, if anybody, you know, put that down on your bucket list. If you're in Chicago, the Historic Board of Trade, stop at Ceres Cafe. It's still there. And what an advertisement. What an advertisement, the stiffest drinks in the city. And it was. I remember you know, early on I'd had a few and it was like, wow, this is like, you know, alcohol.
Yeah.
Anyways, I didn't mean to leave us on that part, but that's
then see, that's in my mind, that's the default. And then you've got the guys that actually really have a problem and they're bringing in like thermoses of vodka. That's the way I envision it.
Oh,
just, you know, I got my thermos for the
they
day.
would continue after, like when you would go, now you're going home right after work. And there was a legendary liquor store a half a block from the Chicago Board Options Exchange. That'd be lines coming out the door to get it because there's no way they're going to go on a 35-minute train ride without a 6-pack, right? I mean, how could you go on a 35-minute train ride without a 6? So then you go on the train and it'd be like, what's going on here? So it was a little. So obviously, people, you know, shockingly in their early 30s, 40s, many of them, their best friends were cardiologists and stuff like that. But, you know, from running into this kind of conditioning, but it was impressive.
Listen, 80s, 90s Chicago traders, it's a party in the USA.
It was
all right, guys, we got to roll on that note. But listen, stay safe out there, stay sober out there, and we will see you tomorrow.
Happy Thursday.